A new day begins as our guy dramatically throws open the curtains, ready for action. This is Fumita Daichi, a 42-year-old who he claims has a very special secret. And that secret is a goddess telling him he was chosen and guided to this very world. He was given a second chance to live, a fresh start from his previous life. In other words, he has been reincarnated into a classic fantasy setting. And because he is the chosen one, he is getting a special skill from on high. In a flashback, the goddess excitedly explains this support skill to his past self, a massive buff for others. But his former self, a tired office worker, seems less than pumped about a power that only helps other people. Sensing his disappointment, the goddess immediately asks if he's got a problem with her gift. She clarifies this skill is only for those who have sacrificed themselves for others their whole lives. Then gets uncomfortably close, whispering it is a reward for his noble soul. HR would have a field day. He's just trying to compute this whole reward for a lifetime of being a doormat. Totally flustered, he starts apologizing for possibly being a little ungrateful. And we see why his old life was just being a human wallet for his family and coworkers. This goddess starts crying, saying she is sorry for suddenly praising him after all that. Reaching for his hand, she calls him a pitiful but truly respectable person, then pulls him into a hug, telling him he was a wonderful husband and father who lived for everyone else. His past self finally breaks down as she begs him to live for his own happiness now. Back to the present, a wooden sign is slammed down outside a shop. It is go time. And there is Fumita Daichi, now a baker, ready to finally work for himself. He proudly calls his new establishment Pub Daichi, his own personal castle in this new world. A regular with a slick prosthetic arm waves hello, excited to try the new menu. 3 years after reincarnating, Daichi is just happy tasting his own soup, a simple, quiet life. But a flashback to the goddess reveals a warning that his special skill might be a little hard to handle. See, he started out as an adventurer, joining a classic fantasy party right out of the gate. And thanks to that support skill, his team rocketed up the ranks to gold level in record time. This only problem with this amazing skill was, it was just a little asterisk, 2 asterisk, ridiculously overpowered. One party member is practically glowing, his magic power suddenly doubled just by standing near Daichi. Another guy goes from rookie to elite tier, immediately claiming Daichi as their asterisk personal power-up. Even the team's sorceress tries to secure his support through some very unprofessional means. Soon, word spreads and every adventurer in town is trying to poach him like he is a walking cheat code. He then overhears them trashing him, saying he is weak on his own and just a buff mule. Then comes the brilliant idea to just enslave him with magic. Problem solved, right? Utterly done with being everyone's power-up pet, Daichi just bolts from the guild and the entire country. This all hits way too close to home, reminding him of his past life as a human wallet for his coworkers. So he fled to a remote land, got absolutely shredded doing manual labor and hid his adventure past. Which brings us to today, where he has finally got his own shop, free from all that drama. He reflects that the hero's journey was never for him, a quiet, healthy life is all he ever wanted. And just as he is enjoying the peace, a well-equipped adventurer walks in, shattering the calm immediately. This adventurer's entrance is impactful, to say the least. And with his new stress-free life, Daichi's brain finally has room for other interests, but just like in his old life, he completely freezes up around women. He knows exactly why, too, his heart still locked down by old trauma. A nasty flashback to his ex-wife's voice reminds him he is finished as a man, because being cheated on and treated like an ATM apparently leaves a mark. His instincts now just scream at him to not trust women, a reflex he cannot shake. He is literally crying about how his trauma is ruining his second chance at life. Oof. Suddenly, a voice cuts through his self-pity spiral, asking if the pub is open. It is the adventurer Martina, who is here early after wrapping up a quest. Daichi snaps back to business, offering to whip up something lucky for her. Turns out she is a regular, coming in for lunch almost every day since he opened. She is about the same age as his daughter was, but unlike her. Martina actually enjoys his cooking instead of calling it gross and demanding sushi. He notes the stark difference. Her simple appreciation means the world to him. Daichi has also heard rumors that she used to be in a pretty famous adventure party. This gets him thinking about his own past, wondering if he could have handled things differently. He imagines a different life, one where he is her partner in adventure, maybe even more. And then his brain immediately goes to the gutter, which he instantly regrets. He calls himself a criminal just for thinking it, completely oblivious to her confusion. Martina finishes her meal, looking absolutely blissful and thanking him for the food, and Daichi is just beaming, telling her she always cleans her plate so beautifully. He then tempts her with a new stew for dinner, and she is immediately ready to commit. But her face falls as she starts to stammer about something, probably her wallet. Daichi, ever the gentleman, quickly offers her a special price just for regulars. Totally thrilled, she dashes off, vowing to work hard and earn that dinner money. She mutters to herself about always being broke despite working hard, a classic adventure mood. Watching her go, Daichi wisely decides not to pry into her personal business. But then a little spark of an idea hits him. Later, Martina is seen outside with her party, a giant in full plate and a shady-looking cloaked person. This cloaked figure gets into it with her, grabbing her arm while the big guy just stands there. Then the armored giant pulls her into a hug, which looks more like a restraining hold, honestly. From his doorway, Daichi is watching this whole awkward soap opera unfold. He can tell her work friends do not exactly seem like the supportive type. Our boy debates stepping in but worries about being a bother, classic Daich overthinking. Suddenly, a deep rumbling sound starts, shaking the whole street. He looks up at the darkening sky, thinking it is just a sudden rainstorm coming. As he carries a tray of drinks outside, the rumbling intensifies dramatically, just as two happy drunks stumble out, yelling about how amazing his stew was. Daichai just smiles and offers them a discount, completely oblivious to the impending chaos. Daichai surveys his empty pub, totally satisfied after another packed night of business. In fact, it is getting so busy he is actually considering hiring some help for once. But just as he is about to lock up, the door creaks open and he has to tell the latecomer they are closed. Then he stops dead in his tracks when he sees who it is. Standing there in the pouring rain is Martina, looking absolutely drenched and miserable. He immediately remembers his promise to make her dinner, feeling awful for almost turning her away. She holds out a few measly coins, admitting it is all the money she has in the world. Daich looks down, his expression softening as he quietly considers her desperate situation, and a warm, gentle smile spreads across his face. Without a second thought, he just ushers her inside out of the cold. A moment later, a hot, steaming bowl of stew is placed right in front of her. Martina is completely stunned, asking why he is doing this when she clearly cannot pay. He just grins, telling her not to worry about it, because this is a special service, he explains, just for his favorite regular customer. Her eyes immediately well up with tears, totally overwhelmed by this simple act of kindness. Then she just starts bawling, which sends Daichai into a full-blown panic, thinking she hates the food. Our boy is completely losing it, asking if they are happy tears. He is so not equipped for this emotional display. She remembers the very first time they met when he fed her for free as she was starving by a fire. Through her sobs, she apologizes for dumping her sad, pathetic story on him again. Daich just listens, realizing she thinks he's been cheering her on this whole time. Through her tears, she explains she cannot complete quests and is terrified of being sold off for her debts. Daichai immediately connects the dots. Those guys he saw her with earlier were loan sharks. She takes a quiet sip from the mug, a tiny pause in her tragic backstory dump, but she insists this whole mess is her own fault, taking full responsibility for her situation. Our boy gently asks why she is so desperate for money, his concern growing by the second. It is because she has made a ton of blunders, a word Daichai does not seem to recognize. She admits that, believe it or not, she used to be a pretty competent, high-ranking armor breaker. A flashback reveals she was kicked from her party after shielding her leader and getting injured, so much for loyalty. To pay for treatment, she hid her injury and took a high-level escort quest, which she failed spectacularly. And now the Adventurers Guild is making her pay for all the stolen cargo. She nervously asks just how much the damages are, bracing for the inevitable. This number is a gut punch, 15,000 gold, which is about 3 years of his pub's entire sales. Just to pay the asterisk interest, she needs to take on a Sane Trank quest, hence today's mission lottery. And she won the grand prize, a suicide mission to take down a mist bird dragon. This thing is a level 20 speed demon, the absolute worst matchup for a heavy-hitting armor breaker like her. If she fails this, she is not just in debt. The guild might just revoke her adventurer license for good. Daichai grimly notes that once that happens, the loan sharks will sell her off without a second thought. Utterly defeated, she says it is over, no party will ever take her in now. She finally admits what she has been denying. As an adventurer, her career is completely finished. Daichai just gives her a calm, knowing look, telling her she was finished a long time ago. Daichai is absolutely disgusted, wondering what kind of monsters would just abandon an injured comrade. She tries to spin it, saying maybe working at a brothel is a silver lining, a truly next-level coping mechanism. The sheer weight of her grim future is just written all over her face, tears welling up. Then she asks if he will be her customer if she starts working there, and Daichai's brain just shuts down. She even adds that if it is inevitable, she'd want him to be her first, a truly wild proposition. Our boy is just trying to process this conversation without having a full-blown aneurysm. But after a moment, a slow, determined smile starts to form on his face. He tells her sorry, but he cannot accept her offer, which catches her completely off guard. Martina immediately backpedals, apologizing for being so forward and making things incredibly awkward. Her assumption is that he is just not interested in a woman like her, which is so not the issue. Daichai, blushing furiously, tries to explain that it is not a asterisk her asterisk problem, it is a him asterisk problem. He insists the issue is not Martina at all, but a personal condition he has, and then he just blurts it out, he has Ed. He hears Ed and thinks it is some cool adventure term, completely missing the very personal meaning, so she has to spell it out for him. It is a psychological issue that affects men around women. This leads her to ask if he has some kind of weird fetish, which sends Daichai into another panic. He tries to rephrase, saying it is more like he becomes useless or even afraid around women. Then he lands on the right term, a phobia of women, and he is weirdly triumphant about it. Martina just looks at him with pity, realizing he has got his own heavy baggage to deal with. Now she is apologizing for upsetting him while he feels terrible for making a kid worry about his trauma. Martina, still flustered, says if she cannot be a customer, maybe she can help in another way. Daichai, completely missing the point, asks which way she means, not asterisk that asterisk way obviously. He clarifies that he means he can help her with her suicide quest, which leaves her stunned. She immediately protests, saying an adventurer's job is way too dangerous for a pub master. But then he pulls out a necklace from under his shirt and her jaw just drops. Her brain is just buffering, trying to process what she is seeing. This shock finally hits her, and she is just completely losing her mind. She asks why a pub master has a gold rank adventurer's necklace, demanding to know if he is one of them, and Daichai just smiles, saying he has a certain skill that might be useful to her. Martina can barely speak, asking if he is really saying he trusts her after everything. Our boy declares he is going to support her so she can pay off her debt and stay an adventurer. 2 days later, they are at a cave entrance, with Martina explaining this is the monster's lair. She is also a little miffed he is treating this as a grocery run for his new menu. As they both stare down the entrance to the Viltrian Roman crystal cave. Inside, she is already panicking, worrying his life is on the line if his support magic fails, and she needs him to confirm that with her strength back she can actually win this thing. She tries to hype herself up, reminding him she is a skilled armor breaker, and he just deadpans okay. Daichai tells her to look him in the eyes so he can begin his support, which just confuses her more. A brilliant light erupts from his chest as he activates his Katadama support skill. And just like that, Martina's physical abilities are boosted by a whopping 20%. She can feel the power coursing through her, realizing this is no ordinary enchantment. Her mind is completely blown. The pub master is a legendary Katadama mage. And Daichai casually explains his support skill can actually double her power, not just a measly 20%. Suddenly, the muscle strength in her injured right arm just surges back to life. She is absolutely ecstatic, feeling like she's been hit with the highest tier magic imaginable. With this power-up, she is convinced she can one-shot this thing, total overconfidence kicking in. Then her face just freezes in pure, unadulterated terror. Our boy is just standing there, completely clueless about what has got her so spooked. He gently asks what is going on, still not seeing the problem, and then he sees it, a colossal beast that is definitely not the bird they came for. This thing is a whole other level of terrifying, with a glint in its eye that screams, "Your dinner." She is losing it, realizing this is a gold-rank demon that uses Saintrank monsters as bait. In fact, there is the mist bird dragon, getting chased down like a pigeon by this absolute unit. She screams out its name, a gold-rank Helzosaurus, meaning this cave is its actual lair. This ground trembles as the beast takes a single earth-shattering step. Her expression says it all, they have walked directly into a death trap. Despite the odds, she charges straight at the monster, sword ready. But the dragon's tail whips around and just sends her flying like a ragdoll. Slammed to the ground, she screams for Daichai to escape, admitting she is no match for it. And Daichai grimly concludes that even with his power-up, she stands absolutely no chance. Daichai is sweating bullets, realizing his initial plan was a massive understatement. But Martina plants herself in front of him, vowing she will not abandon him to die. She screams that this is no time for jokes, they are seconds away from being eaten. He calmly notes that even with his buff, her injured arm is nowhere near its prime. And a small, confident smile forms on his face. He has got this. He declares he will support her even more to bring back her full power, and she just loses it. Still trying to be the hero, she is yelling at the pub master to just save himself. But our boy's eye starts glowing, he is done holding back and is cranking the support to 100%. It is time to unlock all of Martina Valentine's latent potential and completely unleash it, sending lightning crackling all over her body as she gasps in shock. Daichai knows his skill cannot create power from nothing, so he is betting everything on her story being true. He yells that her strength is back to its peak and she can absolutely take this thing down. Through tears, she screams for him to trust in her. Martina Valentine is back in business. She crouches down, every muscle fiber now buzzing with overwhelming energy. With a massive battle cry, she charges forward, her sword practically humming with power. She can feel it all, her arm, her leg, everything moving perfectly again. Her entire body feels impossibly light, like she's been reborn on the battlefield. Realizing she can actually win, she unleashes her ultimate overskill with a crazed look in her eyes. She launches herself into the air, bringing her sword down in a devastating dragon head splitter. Daichai just watches, completely drained, as the aftermath of the attack flies past him. Martina is absolutely floored. She thought her full power would one-shot the beast instantly. Daichai, meanwhile, is just sweating, finally realizing the insane power she must have had in her prime. Panting heavily, she just stares at her sword, shocked that the monster is still standing. She turns to him, completely flustered, demanding to know what his support really is. A single bead of sweat rolls down her face as the horrifying truth starts to dawn on her, and her eyes widen in pure terror as she realizes the fight is far from over. Suddenly, Daichai screams for her to get out of the way, spotting another attack coming in hot. A massive horn from the Helzosaurus slams into the ground right where she was standing. Sometime later, they are huddled around a campfire, having somehow survived the encounter. Daichai is laid out with his head in her lap, apologizing for getting hurt and being a burden. But she insists it is her fault, admitting she injured her back because she could not dodge in time. Worried, she asks if he is really okay, and he tries to play it cool, saying he will walk it off. Despite the obvious pain, his mind seems to be drifting somewhere else entirely. He finally connects the dots, realizing she was a gold-rank adventurer in the hero's party. That means the famous hero of the East was the one who abandoned her. What a piece of work. With a bitter smile, she explains her leader only ever cared about protecting himself. Apparently, he got a marriage proposal from a princess and could not have an injured teammate ruining his image. She clenches her fist, admitting she thought they were family, but to him, she was disposable. In Daichai's eyes, that so-called hero just used her as a stepping stone for his own ambition. This triggers a painful memory, reminding him of a time when he also felt like nothing but a tool. Daichai clenches his fist, absolutely seething at the injustice she faced. He's replaying her whole story, betrayed, broken, and almost sold off by her own leader. And yet, despite all that, he admits he is actually really glad about something. Because when she was at her absolute lowest, she ended up meeting him. Through tears of relief, she thanks him for being the one person who did not abandon her. And our boy is just as overwhelmed, barely managing to thank her right back. But then he mutters her name and the entire mood shifts as he gets super uncomfortable. She is immediately snapped out of the moment, totally confused by his sudden change. While he just lies there completely oblivious, asking what the problem is. Oh, this is gonna be good. Then his face goes completely beet red and we all know exactly what is happening. A divine light suddenly erupts from his lap as he shoves her away. The phobia is cured. His little soldier is apparently reporting for duty for the first time in 3 long years. She's just staring in shock while he screams at her not to look. This is not for kids. Her brain is just a swirl of static as she processes the unbelievable. She did this. Our boy is in full-blown panic, yelling, no it is not. Well, okay, maybe it is. She is a flustered mess, admitting she is happy for his recovery but also, wow, but just as the celebration starts, a horrifying question pops up. Is it shrinking again? She's demanding to know why after 3 years it decided to revive asterisk, now asterisk of all times. This victory lap was tragically short. He is immediately dejected, feeling totally useless all over again. But seeing him so crushed, Martina makes a silent, blushing vow to help heal his heart's wounds. And Martina takes matters into her own hands, literally grabbing him right there. Our boy is completely flustered, asking what in the world she thinks she is doing. Without a second thought, she decides the best course of action is to just flash him. She is freaking out at her own boldness, but hey, desperate times call for desperate measures. And just like that, the problem solves itself again. She realizes she might be his cure, so she just dives headfirst into his lap because subtlety is for other people. Daichai immediately protests, yelling that they are absolutely not ready for this step. But a tiny part of him admits he really asterisk wants to be cured of his phobia. With a completely zoned out look, she declares herself the official therapist for his condition. He is screaming, realizing that if her body caused this, then maybe she is the only one who can fix it. Getting on top of him, she says it is fine since she was almost sold off anyway, this is nothing. Then she just goes for his zipper while he begs her to please, for the love of God, calm down. He is pleading for her to stop after 3 years of nothing. This is way too much stimulation. His brain is screaming no, but his body is clearly voting yes with overwhelming support. And with that, a metaphorical fireworks show officially kicks off in his brain. Her view is suddenly filled with tiny cheering chibis of our boy, mission accomplished. Meanwhile, Daich is just lying there, completely overwhelmed by his own tiny cheer squad. Martina is just sparkling, looking incredibly proud of her unorthodox healing methods. Our boy's soul has left his body, amazed that a single touch was all it took. Lying back in a daze, he wonders if his phobia is finally gone for good. Martina, ever the dedicated healer, decides she needs to monitor his condition. Her logic is flawless. If it worked once, it can totally work again, right, master? Daich is just trying to process this, mumbling something about compatibility as his brain melts. Then she grabs his hand with the grip of a woman on a mission, a very asterisk specific mission. She declares she will never abandon a comrade while he is just screaming comrade in utter panic. Our boy just lies there, realizing they have officially graduated from adventuring party to this. With a surprisingly gentle touch, she acknowledges all the pain his phobia must have caused him over the years, and she tearfully vows to repay him for everything, promising to give it her absolute all. So she immediately goes for the nuclear option again, vowing to cure him no matter what it takes. Meanwhile, back in town, the scumbags who tried to buy her are furious they now have to pay a penalty fee. Their leader smirks, saying while they cannot touch an ex-hero's party member, he has got a plan B cut to some shady dude offering a good slave to a guy in a jail cell. This cannot be good. This prisoner is a platinum-rank swordsman and mage, and he looks absolutely thrilled to be let out for a job. 3 days later, we get a nice scenic shot of the city, completely unaware of the trouble brewing. Back at the inn, Martina is continuing her very dedicated physical therapy sessions with gusto, and it works. Daichai is celebrating the triumphant return of his son after a 3-year absence. He is thanking her profusely for giving him his life back, and she is just glowing with pride. This next morning, our boy is passed out in bed after a very successful night of treatment. Waking up, he thanks her for the wonderful dream, even if it was just for a moment. But 3 days after the miracle, he wakes up with hope only to find the problem is back. Oh, the humanity. Daichai confesses to the innkeeper's wife that his little son has not revived since the day it all went wrong. Meanwhile, Martina is all fired up, having used the quest money to pay her debts and secure time for rehab. Back in bed, he is just glad the Helzosaurus bounty was enough for her to get a fresh start. He clenches his fist, overwhelmingly relieved she managed to escape being sold off. But his jaw tightens as a much more complicated thought starts to surface. Martina is completely baffled. Why would anyone with his god-tier skill quit being an adventurer? She passionately asks him to team up with her again, certain they could accomplish incredible things together. Her eyes are practically sparkling with excitement at the thought of their future partnership. Daichai, on the other hand, looks like he just bit into a raw lemon. That is a hard pass. He grips the sheets, the memory of his old party finding out about his skill flooding back. This way they used him and then looked at him with disgust was something he'd never forget. So he tells Martina this is a one-time deal, shattering her hopes in a single sentence. Our boy just sighs, turning away as he puts the final nail in that particular coffin. She is instantly mortified, realizing she was way too pushy without considering his own trauma. Some time later, Daich is back to sweeping, assuming she is never coming back after that rejection. This innkeeper's wife even teases him, saying it is a shame to lose such a good regular. He just looks down, clearly missing her more than he is willing to let on. But suddenly Martina appears, fully recovered and asking if he is ready to open the shop. She shyly admits she was worried he would not want to see her again after how forward she was. Her eyes are filled with a gentle but firm resolve. She is absolutely not giving up on him. She catches him staring and asks what is wrong, sending him into a full-blown panic. Martina admits she was just self-conscious since her hair and clothes are different today. And she is blushing like crazy, obviously fishing for a very specific compliment. With her back to him, she asks if maybe the new look just does not suit her. Getting even more flustered, she asks if he just does not like this more adult style. Daichai just closes his eyes, trying to compute this sudden change in atmosphere. He gives her a big, enthusiastic thumbs up, which somehow only makes her more annoyed. But inside, he is thinking his phobia treatment is clearly far from over. This reminds her of his phobia and why he'd go to such interesting lengths. She flashes back to her vow to cure him using her very hands-on therapeutic techniques, and he cannot help but smile, thinking about how damn serious she is about this whole thing. Suddenly, the innkeeper's wife shows up, asking if this beautiful woman is his future bride. This wife is immediately mortified, apologizing for being so nosy with a regular. Martina just explains she is here to help since Daich was too tired to even open the shop. Our boy tries to explain that she is an adventurer, not, asterisk that. His denial is not exactly landing with the confidence of an innocent man, though. In fact, he starts sweating bullets, realizing exactly how this whole situation looks. But Martina just gets right in his personal space, asking with puppy dog eyes if she can help out. Next thing you know, she is taken over as a waitress serving meals to the customers. She's even taking drink orders, fitting into the role with frankly terrifying speed. And just like that, the inn is absolutely packed with happy customers. Business is booming. Martina is a total natural, charming everyone as she takes their orders with a huge smile. Behind the counter, the innkeeper and his wife are just silently watching this whirlwind of success. This wife jokingly asks her husband if he is sure Martina is not his secret lover, which he immediately denies. She's clearly just having fun, blushing at the thought of all this youthful drama. As a woman over 40, she starts giving her husband some very serious life advice. From the sidelines, Daichai overhears her whisper that Martina definitely has a thing for him. Her husband tries to brush it off, but she insists she's being completely serious about this. With a personality that brightens up the whole room, she says Martina is absolutely perfect. Then she drops the hint that it is about time Daichai settled down himself. This husband tells her to stop being a busybody, especially since she is staring so hard. Peeking from behind a pillar, the wife insists she can tell Martina is a good, hardworking person. Daichai just smirks, musing that older people see the value in youth because they know what they have lost. Meanwhile, Martina is practically glowing as she serves a table, embodying the dazzling light of youth. This wife gets this look of pure, unadulterated resolve. She is about to meddle so hard. She scolds her husband, saying a real man would not just stand by and watch a young person struggle. As night falls over the inn, the day's work finally comes to a close. This innkeeper is absolutely floored to see the day's sales are 3 times the usual amount. Martina is celebrating their new stew recipe being a massive hit while he is just speechless. Daichai is completely overwhelmed, wondering if this is the raw, terrifying power of youth. Daichai is just sweating, completely short-circuiting at this display of raw charisma. Martina beams, declaring this success is all thanks to her own personal power. Was not she helpful? This innkeeper tries to pay her triple, but she waves it off, saying she only did it because she wanted to. Daichai insists she take the money, but she grabs his hand, saying she will accept his gratitude in other ways. Stretching happily, she announces she is off to the bathhouse and will be back bright and early tomorrow, master. He has to break the news that the bathhouse is already closed, and she just completely loses it. She just laughs it off, admitting she was having so much fun she lost all track of time. This innkeeper sighs, figuring he will have to skip his own bath and head home for the night. A look of pure resignation on his face as the day finally winds down, when his wife suddenly offers Martina the chance to use theirs instead. Oh, the classic setup. Later in the bath, Martina is freaking out, wondering what staying over asterisk really implies. Meanwhile, Daichai has accepted her resolve, steeling himself to see this through for her sake, of course. A close-up on her face shows she is blushing furiously, completely overwhelmed by the moment. In the tub, she is panicking that this is her first time and she is terrified of disappointing him. She has never had this kind of experience with a guy before and the insecurity is hitting hard. A memory surfaces of a former comrade calling her a boring golem. Ouch. Another voice from her past told her she'd never be popular because she was not soft enough. She remembers putting on a stoic, iron-walled mask to deal with all their harshness. It turns out her old party leader intentionally made her the hated one to keep everyone else united. But now crying in the bath, she vows to change, determined to leave that old self behind. Daichai decides the only way to free her from her past is to dedicate his entire being to the cause. In the bath, Martina is convinced a clumsy approach will just disappoint him. This is a once-in-a-lifetime gamble. This innkeeper's wife pops her head in, mentioning she has left some clothes out for her. Then she casually offers the guest room for the night, which sends Martina into a full-blown panic. Suddenly, Daichai enters the room and our girl is absolutely not ready for this turn of events. He is sweating profusely, insisting he cannot possibly go through with this phobia treatment. Our boy just gestures frantically towards the clothes, his composure completely shattered. This whole situation devolves into him having a meltdown while she is just trying to exist. He is literally screaming, "Do not look," which is a hilariously unexpected reaction. Martina is just completely stunned by this sudden and dramatic reversal of confidence. Her brain is just buffering, trying to compute where her master plan went off the rails. After all her big talk and resolve, she is wondering why he is the one hiding from asterisk. He is clutching a towel for dear life as she asks what is so wrong with her. But then his expression shifts, a flicker of intense determination cutting through the panic. He grits his teeth, clearly making a decision that is overriding his own terror. She seems to understand the change in atmosphere, telling him to stand up with renewed resolve. In her mind, this is it, the moment he finally accepts her help and the real treatment begins. She declares that now is the time to repay him for everything he has done for her. With a firm grip, she decides that he is the one she will entrust her first real experience to. So Daichai just grabs a towel for her, announcing it is time to head to his room. The mission is a go. Her brain just blue screens as he puts a hand on her shoulder, completely overwhelmed by the sudden contact. Daichai just calmly asks about the towel, flipping the script by calling asterisk her master now. She is completely flustered, asking why on earth he'd bring her to his room for asterisk this. From behind the door, she insists this is just so they can rest up for tomorrow's work. Sure it is. Our boy tries to shut it down, saying a young woman like her has no reason to sacrifice for him. She looks totally stunned, clarifying that she does not need his help with her phobia out of pity. This rejection hits hard, flashing her back to her old party leader saying she was useless to them. Tears stream down her face, the old wound of being called worthless reopening in an instant. But then Daichai's hand gently touches her, pulling her out of that painful memory. With a soft smile, he clarifies that this is not a sacrifice in the slightest. Clutching her towel, she declares with total sincerity that she wants to be someone he can rely on. Her sudden, raw honesty leaves Daichai completely speechless for a moment. Martina connects the dots, guessing his phobia must stem from being hurt by women before. That guess lands like a punch to the gut, his expression hardening at the memory. With incredibly earnest eyes, she asks him to please just trust her this one time. She gives him a fierce smile, promising she can prove she is different from the women in his past. All she wants, she insists, is to help him break free from his personal hell. Because after all, he was the one who saved her when she felt completely dead inside. He is the one who showed her a new path and made her realize she was not alone anymore. Daichai listens, visibly touched, as she vows to be the person who helps him through his struggles. With total conviction, she tells him he is not alone anymore, she is here to repay him. His expression darkens at her words, and she asks if her offer is really no good. Daichai's mind flashes back to the source of his trauma, a woman berating him for just wanting company. This memory hits hard, and he grits his teeth as the old pain resurfaces instantly. Back in the present, he tries to shut her down, pointing out their 20-year age gap. But Martina is not hearing any of it, passionately insisting that she is the one who can cure him. To do that, however, she needs to confirm something first. His well-being is the priority. Then she points at his crotch, asking if he is getting excited, leaving Daichai completely baffled. Our boy just glances down, trying to figure out what on earth she's even talking about. And then it clicks, sending him into a full-blown, red-faced panic attack. Completely losing his cool, he spins around, frantically insisting she's got it all wrong. She just blinks innocently, clarifying that it is just his pants bunching up that way, or is it? Daichai is just melting down, screaming about being abstinent for 3 days and how this is too sudden. Her face falls, thinking he is just some pervy old guy making excuses to a young girl. Daichai is still a blushing, mortified mess as she just watches him fall apart. Suddenly, she grabs him, declaring they cannot miss this chance, and starts dragging him towards the room. He is shocked by her raw strength, trying to insist there is nothing to be afraid of. The irony is thick. From the doorway, the innkeeper's wife spots the commotion, calling out for Martina to slow down. Meanwhile, in an alley, 3 shady characters vow to make someone regret taking a part-time job here. This leader smirks, saying it is time to collect payment from someone who underestimated the world. With her conviction on full display, she asks if he finally understands her. And just as things get serious, a massive explosion rocks the inn's entrance. Daichai and Martina are completely stunned, wondering what the hell just happened. From the smoke, a voice screams Martina's name, demanding she pay back what she owes. It is those 3 shady guys from the alley swaggering in like they own the place. Martina panics, insisting she already paid everything back while trying to get dressed. This innkeeper is having none of it, absolutely furious they'd barge into his establishment. But the eye-patch-wearing leader just gives him a smug little smirk, totally unbothered. Now dressed, Martina confronts them, declaring she paid back 15,000 gold with interest. Daichai just watches, a look of deep concern on his face as she stands her ground. This leader just scoffs, saying her idea of interest is hilariously insufficient. He lays out the terms, a 1-year loan with 2 late payments, and oh boy do they have fees. With all their creative accounting, he says the total debt is now a whopping 30,000 gold. Daichi cannot believe it, realizing they are charging 100% interest for a single year. It is pure extortion. She is trembling with rage, calling them out for being absolute morons. Martina demands to know what kind of scam math they are using, but the leader just waves her off. One of his goons conveniently pulls out a piece of paper claiming to have the contract. They shove a contract in her face, pointing to a signature they claim is hers, which she insists is a forgery. This leader dares her to take it to court, knowing the debt will just keep growing in the meantime. Then he drops the real bombshell. She can work it all off at a brothel until the debt is settled. Daichi connects the dots. Their whole scheme was to trap her in an ever-growing debt. These goons are just loving this, openly mocking the beautiful armor breaker from the hero's party. Barely able to speak, our boy just grits his teeth in pure, helpless rage. This innkeeper's wife steps up, trying to shame them by asking if they have kids of their own. But the leader absolutely loses it, screaming that he has only 20 priorities, I guess. Martina is completely thrown, trying to apologize for accidentally calling the loan shark an old geezer. She is still stammering, looking genuinely mortified by her social blunder. Of course, the eye patch guy just smirks, asking if she really thought that pathetic excuse would work. Done talking, she summons her massive weapon, warning them not to touch her until this is settled. Their leader just grins, saying he totally expected this and came prepared for a fight. He suddenly screams out a name. Jessendina, and Martina's face just freezes in shock. A massive wave of fire erupts from off-screen, swinging right at them. With her weapon, Martina just barely manages to block the blast, the force sending her skidding backward. Daichi gets blown away by the shockwave, screaming that the inn is on fire now. On the ground, he sees the innkeeper and his wife fleeing the building in terror. Stunned, Martina recognizes the attack, a nostalgic but terrifying wave of power washing over her. Her mind is racing, wondering if it could possibly be who she thinks it is. Out of the smoke, a horned woman appears, calling out the name Fiora in disbelief. It is Fiora Jessendina, a platinum-rank mage and another member of her old party. This lone shark cackles, revealing they sold Fiora to slavers and the hero just replaced them. Fiora drops the bombshell. The hero, Rex, is marrying a princess and cut ties with all commoners. Martina's hand is shaking, the name Rex echoing in her mind as the betrayal hits home. In a flashback, the entire party watches as their leader just walks away, abandoning every single one of them. Daichi listens, his face twisting in disgust as he realizes they were all just disposable pawns. This sheer, calculated cruelty of the hero's actions leaves him absolutely speechless. But then Fiora turns on Martina, screaming that this is somehow her fault, a truly wild accusation. Even the lone shark chimes in, telling Martina she has gone too far, as if he is the voice of reason here. She desperately tries to explain that Daichi does not know the full story of why she was treated so horribly. Turns out, while everyone else was a party member, she was the only one who was literally the hero's slave. Daichi tries to remind her he warned her about Rex, but his words are completely lost in the chaos. This eye-patch-wearing leader just gives him a smug, dismissive little smirk. He then reveals Fiora was under a marionette curse from the hero, which is how they got control of her. Martina is absolutely livid, realizing that scumbag Rex actually transferred her slave contract to these thugs. Fiora just cries, admitting she was lured into the contract with promises of nice things she could not resist. Now the lone shark grabs Martina, gloating that as long as the contract exists, she has to obey him unconditionally. With a snap of his fingers, he decides it is time for a little demonstration of Fiora's new loyalty. He orders her to expose herself right there, and Martina just screams in absolute horror. Forced by the contract, a terrified Fiora actually starts to comply with the disgusting command. Martina begs her to stop and ignore the order while the villains just grin, enjoying the show. And all Daichi can do is watch, his face a mask of pure, helpless rage. Martina's heart just shatters, tears streaming down her face as she whispers her own name in despair. Forced by the curse, a trembling Fiora starts to obey the vile command against her will. From the sidelines, Martina can only beg for anyone to please help them. This slave contract glows on Fiora's chest, her expression a mix of pure agony and humiliation. This lone shark is just eating it up, ordering the platinum-rank adventurer to strike a pose for him. Daichi just grits his teeth, absolutely seething with a rage he cannot unleash yet. Then the creep turns to Martina, smugly telling her that she is going to be next. She is just broken, crying about how they are treating human beings like disposable objects. In total disbelief, she asks how they can possibly be so unbelievably cruel, but Daichi interrupts, coldly stating that women are not some man's property to be traded. Turns out, the hero himself told these guys about Martina's debt after selling Fiora to slavers. This realization hits Martina like a truck. They were all laughing behind her back this whole time. In a flashback, Rex literally offers up Fiora as a tool to help trap Martina in a brothel. What a hero. This lone shark just grins, admitting that this kind of disgusting scheme is his absolute specialty. Martina is horrified, realizing Rex wants to see her broken and humiliated while working there. Rex lays it all out. She was always just a tool, and selling her off is just normal. Daichi is just disgusted, saying even the word trash is too good for a guy like Rex. This lone shark just laughs it off, completely unbothered by their moral outrage. Snapping completely, Martina leaps forward with her weapon, screaming she will never forgive them. But the eye patch-wearing scumbag just smirks, ready for the attack like it is all part of the plan. Martina's attack gets completely stonewalled by the goons, who are way tougher than they look. All Daichi can do is watch from the sidelines, totally helpless as the fight kicks off. She is in total disbelief. Her legendary weapon cannot even put a scratch on these guys, and that is because Fiora is casting a light shield to protect her new masters, the ultimate betrayal. This lone shark's smug little grin says it all. This was his plan from the very beginning. He taunts Martina, saying she is not at her best while Fiora is at peak performance for them. Then he orders Fiora to attack, and she unleashes a fire spell while apologizing to her old friend. This blast sends Daichi flying as the whole inn just gets torn to absolute shreds. Meanwhile, the poor innkeeper's wife is just watching her entire business get literally blown up. Martina grits her teeth, realizing she is completely outmatched against her former comrade. Her first thought is that she cannot drag her master Daichi into this mess. But with no other choice, she calls out his name, her voice filled with desperation. In tears, she finally breaks, begging him to please help her just this one time. Daichi's face hardens. He cannot just abandon a comrade who fought by his side. But his old trauma hits again, that voice calling him a useless, disposable burden. This time, though, a small, determined smile appears on his face. He is not that guy anymore. He knows Martina is a good person who values her friends, a fact he cannot ignore. So if she is asking for help, he is going all in, a ball of light forming in his hand. Suddenly, a massive power-up engulfs Martina, her support skills boosted by a full 100%. She is completely floored, feeling an incredible surge of energy coursing through her entire body. This lone shark just grins, ordering Fiora to blast Martina with a mid-level fire spell. Forced by the curse, a horrified Fiora unleashes the attack against her will. Daichi absolutely freaks out, screaming that her weapon cannot possibly block that kind of magic. With no time to think, Martina just yells at him to get out of the way. But then she activates her overskill, and you know it is about to get real. First up is acceleration, giving her a massive boost in speed. Next, she throws Flash Strike into the mix for some extra punch. And to top it all off, she adds Wild Dance to the combo. Stacking all three skills together for one absolutely insane super move, she unleashes a massive whirlwind that completely snuffs out Fiora's fire spell. Daichi's jaw is just on the floor, completely stunned by what he just witnessed. Even the eye patch-wearing leader is sweating bullets, not expecting this level of power. His two goons are just losing their minds in the background, so much for their tough guy act. Martina stands tall, having literally blown away the powerful flames with her own attack. Fiora can only stare, whispering her old friend's nickname in total disbelief. This leader is practically vibrating with rage, realizing she just stacked multiple overskills. He gets right in her face, demanding to know how she is this strong while supposedly injured. She just gives him a death glare, refusing to explain her ultimate moves to trash like him. Instead of talking, she leaps forward, aiming a devastating strike right at his head. And Daichi just smirks, knowing full well that her special attack can slice right through magical barriers. This eye patch leader is down for the count, completely paralyzed by the force of her attack. He is sweating absolute bullets, the smug confidence completely wiped from his face. Martina looms over him, coldly stating there are two ways to dissolve Fiora's slave contract. He can either choose to release it himself like a reasonable person, or she can just end him right here and now, and she looks very ready to pick for him. And just like that, the tough guys are on their knees, begging to cancel the contract and even her debt, a stunningly fast change of heart. On Fiora's chest, the glowing slave mark finally shatters into light, setting her free. Daichi just smiles, confirming to a still processing Martina that the curse is officially broken. Overcome with relief, Fiora can only whisper her old friend's name through her tears. Then she launches herself forward for a massive thank you hug, screaming Martina's name with pure joy. Of course, this emotional reunion immediately turns into a full-on tackle that sends Martina crashing to the ground. Daichi just watches as Fiora recovers from her own over-enthusiastic hugpocalypse. A flustered Martina yells that she did not do it for Fiora's sake. It is just that they were both kicked out of the party, obviously. Fiora tearfully retorts that hanging around Martina is nothing but trouble and tells her to get lost now that she is free. Daichi checks on Martina, who thanks him for his help, feeling pretty good about the whole thing. Our boy feels a quiet sense of satisfaction, having solved his own problem and helped someone else in the process. Martina gets right in Fiora's face, pointing out she seems awfully happy for someone who was just saved by an old comrade. While they are busy bickering, Daichi tries to apologize to the innkeeper's wife for, the total destruction of her livelihood. But then he freezes as the woman points behind him with a look of absolute horror. She is screaming that the inn is on fire. The whole place is going up in a massive inferno. This innkeeper's wife confirms the stray fire from the fight is now cheerfully engulfing their entire business. Martina frantically yells for Fiora to use water magic, while Daichi just zones out from sheer exhaustion. Later, a deeply ashamed Martina is on the floor, formally apologizing for getting everyone's property incinerated. This innkeeper, surprisingly chill, says he is broke but will work his fingers to the bone to rebuild Daichi's shop. Still bowing, Martina begs for just a little bit of time to figure something out, but the innkeeper gently tells her to get up, saying there is no need for all this. She looks up, completely stunned by his kindness, as he says it is not entirely her fault. So naturally she immediately points at Fiora, calling her a useless idiot who cannot control her own magic. Fiora absolutely loses it, screaming back that she is not an idiot, thank you very much. Martina just yells at her to shut up since arguing will not solve their massive, building-sized problem. Daichai meanwhile just sits there in stunned silence, wondering why they are having a screaming match in his throat. Our boy just lets out a long, weary sigh. This is his life now, apparently. After a moment, Martina shoves a glass of water at Fiora, telling her to calm down so they can assign blame later. This two former party members share a look, finally agreeing to talk this out like semi-functional adults. Daichai lays out the grim reality. Repairs will cost over 10,000 gold and all their financial records are now ash. This hits Martina hard as she realizes even their savings will not be nearly enough to cover the damages. A single drop of sweat rolls down her face as a new, desperate plan begins to form. Fiora chimes in, admitting Martina might be a moron, but she is also a ridiculously powerful mage. With renewed fire, Martina declares that together they can take on a high-rank quest to earn the cash they need. She turns to Daichai, promising to pay for everything with the reward money from their next big job. With a look of pure determination, Martina is dead set on this high-rank quest idea. Our boy Daichai, meanwhile, looks like he has aged about 10 years in the last hour. He just lets out a massive sigh, completely drained by her chaotic energy. She tells a weary Daichai that this is the fastest way out of their mess, leaving no room for argument. Suddenly she is all fired up, promising to work herself to the bone for her master, a title he never asked for. Looking utterly defeated, Daich says that he and Fiora will somehow rebuild the shop themselves. But Fiora immediately cuts in, stating the obvious, that two people cannot possibly manage it. Then she throws Martina a backhanded compliment, saying while she is unreliable, her power will make it possible. This innkeeper's wife, Marin, then chimes in, reminding them her shop also got wrecked and she is first in line for compensation. Daichai's expression hardens, agreeing they need a plan that is guaranteed to work. So Fiora volunteers to join the quest as well, saying she will provide support so Martina can go all out. Not satisfied with just high rank, Martina asks if they can take on a platinum-level quest to get the cash faster. Then it dawns on her, a quest means traveling together with her master, and she is not okay. And just like that, she's grabbing his hands, squealing that her dream of adventuring with him is finally happening. A flustered but smiling Daichai asks if they can stay one more night since they have nowhere else to discuss this. Still blushing, Martina suggests they depart in 2 days, clearly flustered by the whole thing. She then apologizes to her master, offering to pay for their stay tonight with her own money. Our boy is horrified, realizing she is about to blow her entire savings on one night's stay. Meanwhile, Martina strikes a smug little pose for the others as if being broke is a fashion statement. And a shot of the night sky confirms their future. Yep, they are definitely camping now. So yeah, they are camping, with Daich on watch while Martina gets some much-needed sleep. Suddenly, our boy jolts awake, realizing he totally messed up his one and only job. He was supposed to be guarding them but completely passed out, not his finest moment. Deciding to wash his face at the lake, he quietly sneaks off to get himself together. But as he gets closer, he freezes in his tracks, spotting something completely unexpected. And a single drop of sweat tells you he has stumbled into a very asterisk awkward situation, because there is a mysterious, glowing elf woman just casually bathing in the lake. Daich is just stuck there, mouth agape, having walked into the world's most scenic anime trope. His first thought is Fiora, but he quickly realizes her skin tone is all wrong. This kid is just a blushing, stammering mess, completely out of his depth here. His brain finally catches up, screaming that this is a 5-alarm get-out-of-here moment. All his past-life salesman instincts are blaring. This woman is dangerously beautiful and he needs to run. Just then, she turns and asks who he is, her gaze locking right onto him. A sly, knowing smile spreads across her face, and you know she is in complete control. She introduces herself as Fatima, the ancient elven queen of some sacred forest, so you know, no big deal. Daichai just stammers her name, trying to figure out if she is a different person from Fiora. He asks if she is different from the klutz Fiora, which earns him an immediate, angry denial. Fatima rants that Fiora is a separate person who got tricked into a slave contract over food while she was asleep. Our boy's gears start turning as he puts the pieces together. Asleep, she says. He finally asks the million-gold question, are she and Fiora the same person after all? Fatima explains she only awakens on a full moon, which is why Fiora's been running the show solo. Turns out she and Fiora are one body, and she has been on a timeless quest for a special partner. She correctly deduces he is the one who saved Fiora, and she is here to thank him for his rare magical gifts. With a serious look, she asks him to take care of Fiora, leaving our boy a flustered mess. Her terms are simple: respect her, feed her, and she will join his party, a very reasonable job application. She continues that once she has had time to fully recognize his talents, she will be more than happy to bear his child, and then she just plants one on him, zero hesitation. A super close-up reveals this is no ordinary kiss because she has got fangs. Daichai recoils in absolute shock, but she just gives him a sly, knowing smile. She calls that a thank you and warns him he is about to get very sleepy, with a new adventure waiting when he wakes. Under the full moon, a new chaotic adventure is officially about to kick off. Come morning, Fiora wakes up looking completely dazed and confused about, well, everything. And her first thought is not where am I, but a desperate, chibified need to pee. The elven queen's dignity is gone. This bladder situation remains critical, her majestic elven form reduced to a pouting chibi. At that exact moment, Martina wakes up to find Daichai holding Fiora and absolutely loses her mind. Her jaw hits the floor, seeing Daichai fast asleep with Fiora cuddled up to him like a teddy bear. A cold sweat breaks out as her heart starts hammering. This is not the morning she was expecting. Her hand tightens on the blanket, a clear sign that her brain is currently short-circuiting. She can only stare at the two of them sleeping so peacefully, the scene hitting her like a ton of bricks. This sight triggers a painful flashback to her old party leader coldly telling her she is no longer needed in the group. This memory hits hard, her old party leader coldly stating she is useless and has no place with them. With trembling hands, she insists she can still fight, desperate to stay on the team. He just dismisses her pleas, telling her to give it up already. This crushing weight of his rejection is just suffocating her in this moment. Her mind reels, unable to process why he is being so unbelievably cruel. Then he leans in with a smug grin, reminding her she is nothing special to him, unless of course she wants to become his woman. What a generous offer. And her response is a resounding "you scum," which is honestly putting it mildly. Martina jolts awake with a scream, finally snapping out of the horrible memory. She is panting hard, the terror of the dream still clinging to her. It takes her a second to get her bearings, realizing it was all in her head. Sitting up, she realizes she has had that same awful nightmare all over again. A worried glance reveals the others are not in their sleeping bags anymore. This empty camp confirms that her master and Fiora are already up and gone. Back in the memory, the scumbag leader lectures her on not being cute enough to be a good woman. Her eyes in the past reflect pure, unfiltered despair at his twisted logic. In the end, she could not be the person he wanted, so she had to walk away. Even now, the memory of that day sends a chill right through her. She kneels by the dead fire, thinking about how she just gave up without a real fight. Suddenly, a voice asks if she is awake, and she looks up to see a friendly slime checking in on her. Turns out the slime was just Daichai, who has returned with Fiora and a bunch of vegetables for a salad. His simple kindness leaves Martina completely flustered, just biting her lip in silence. Her mind starts spinning, realizing it might not be so bad to rely on a man like him. This immediately triggers a painful flashback to her old party where every look was a judgment. But her master is different. He treats her with genuine respect, not as a tool to be used. She remembers how he even comforted a distraught Fiora, promising she was not abandoned. That memory of them all sharing a meal, with Fiora crying tears of joy, really hits home. His patience and warmth are the complete opposite of the toxic trash she used to work with, and the sheer weight of that realization sends her into a full-blown system-rebooting blush. She tries to shut it down, frantically telling herself he is just a therapy partner for her issues, that is all. In her mind, there is just no way a guy like him could ever see her as a romantic option. With that internal crisis resolved, the party finally arrives in the town of Monsel to find a quest. Inside the local guild, Fiora is already living her best life with a full meal. Daichai notes it has been a whole week since they started this journey, trying to keep spirits up, but Martina's panicking because they have not found a single platinum rank quest yet. She explains to Daichai that while the payout is huge, these jobs are incredibly rare. This is a massive problem, a fact completely lost on Fiora, who is busy licking her fingers clean. Suddenly, Fiora gets a spark of inspiration, a mischievous look crossing her face. Her brilliant idea is to order another plate of food, promising the waitress she will pay for it herself. And Martina just explodes, screaming that they are flat broke and cannot afford Fiora's bottomless stomach. Fiora offers to share her food, but Martina is too busy having an emotional breakdown to notice. Daichai, the only adult in the room, suggests they earn some travel money with smaller quests first. This girl seems to agree with his sensible plan, which is a shocking development. Martina then notices him rubbing his shoulder and asks if her master is in pain. She explains that camping is making her old bones stiff, a complaint he probably was not expecting. Our boy looks visibly uncomfortable, clearly not equipped for this particular conversation. Blushing, he stammers out an offer for a shoulder rub, a truly heroic effort. She immediately shuts him down, insisting she is young and has plenty of stamina, totally not flustered at all. Daichai just smiles, completely aware that she is lying through her teeth, and then her brain finally catches up, sending her into a full-blown panic over what she just implied. She frantically tries to take it all back, worried he is getting the wrong idea about her. He just playfully asks for a little help, and she is immediately flexing, eager to please her master. Fiora, completely missing the romantic tension, just zaps his shoulder with some healing magic. Daichai is stunned as the pain instantly disappears thanks to the elf's convenient powers. He is amazed by Fiora's magic, glad they did not have to bother Martina, who looks absolutely betrayed. A chibi Martina stews in the corner, feeling utterly useless now that Fiora's stolen her thunder. Daichai then pivots back to business, telling them they cannot just waltz into a gold rank quest unprepared. He looks pretty satisfied with his own leadership skills for about 5 seconds, because a well-dressed man with a gnarly scar suddenly interrupts, wanting to know what is going on. This guy, clearly the guild master, begs them to take a quest, offering to pay whatever it takes. This guild master looks desperate, demanding they get platinum rank adventurers from the capital immediately. And now he is having a full-blown meltdown, screaming that his own life is on the line. Martina, ever the busybody, steps in to ask what all the fuss is about. A nearby adventurer explains the local noble's son has been possessed by a malevolent spirit. Her face drops when she hears a gold rank party already tried to handle it and got completely wiped out. At his desk, the guild master is getting an earful from the noble, who will not settle for anything less than platinum rank. He is sweating, knowing there is no way a top-tier party would ever come out to this backwater town. Just then, the noble points directly at our crew, asking the guild master to send asterisk them instead. Martina puffs out her chest, announcing her former platinum rank party will gladly take the job, much to Daitch's horror. Both the noble and the guild master are just frozen in stunned silence, their jaws on the floor. Overjoyed, the noble starts calling Martina a goddess, begging her to save his son. Daichai is frantically trying to intervene, whispering that this is all moving way too fast. With a confident smile, she asks her master if he has a plan for dealing with the spirit. Fiora chimes in with a smug thumbs up, boasting that her necromancy knowledge makes this a piece of cake. They get the grim details about the noble's possessed son who is holed up in their home. This noble is completely sold, recognizing Martina's armor and shaking hands with the girls. Meanwhile, the possessed kid whispers from the shadows, vowing to protect their demon from intruders. A horrifying close-up reveals the spirit's twisted logic. It believes it is the only one who can save the noble. Back at the guild, the noble is practically on his knees, promising them any reward to save his son. Another adventurer looks on in terror, remembering how countless others have tried and failed to defeat this thing. This noble is practically kissing her hand, calling them his last hope. Martina's just trying to get him to breathe. But Daichai, the actual adult here, says they need to assess the situation before rushing in. After composing himself, the noble apologizes for his little meltdown and agrees to lead them to the room. He opens the door to his son's chambers, and you just know this is gonna be bad. And yup, there is the kid, levitating on the bed surrounded by a nasty black aura. A close-up confirms it. This kid is 100% possessed, looking like he has not slept in a century. This whole party is just horrified, with the noble looking like he is about to have a heart attack. But Martina steals her nerves, declaring this is no reason to back down against the spirit. She immediately calls on Fiora, who steps up to unleash some serious purification magic. Fiora casts a holy divine exorcism, a spell that sounds way too OP for this party. Daichai is absolutely stunned, realizing Fiora's packing some seriously high-level holy magic. Even the noble is blown away by the sheer power Fiora can wield, and the possessed kid is clearly not having a good time as the light hits him. This dark spirit is literally ripped out of his body, taking the form of a shadowy creature. It works, the kid is free, and the spirit is now floating in the middle of the room. But the exorcised spirit just glares down from the ceiling, looking extra angry about its eviction. Martina immediately yanks a lever on the wall, trying to trap the spirit. She screams a warning not to touch it, since direct contact means instant possession. This, she explains, is exactly how the last party of adventurers got completely owned, and right on cue, she gets blasted by the spirit and sent flying across the room. Daichai screams her name, totally convinced she has been possessed by the spirit. But Martina just roars back that an attack like that is nothing to her, shocking everyone. Our boy is just stunned, realizing she somehow deflected a full-on possession attempt. Even the noble is losing his mind, demanding to know why it did not work on her. She smugly explains she is a pure maiden with special spirit resistance, a walking plot armor coupon. With that settled, she tells Fiora it is time to take out the trash. Fiora enchants Martina's sword with that same holy divine exorcism magic from before, and Martina unleashes a divine purification slash, bringing the holy pain right to the spirit. This entire room explodes in a flash of holy light and righteous fury. Both the noble and his wife are celebrating, absolutely convinced the nightmare is over. Daichai looks on, relieved and amazed that they actually managed to defeat it. He is just blown away by their perfect, almost practiced combination attack. Turns out these two are seasoned pros who once fought alongside the legendary hero. With the spirit gone, Daichai tries to wake the noble's son Dalf, but the kid is not waking up and his parents are starting to panic all over again. This whole party freezes, realizing this quest is nowhere near finished. A closer look reveals the kid is suffering from severe miasma poisoning. This noble's wife has no clue what that is, as Martina realizes the spirit's main body is elsewhere. She is worried the kid is going to die, and soon if they do not do something. Martina explains he was possessed for too long. To save him, they have to destroy the spirit's source. Martina is in full panic mode, asking if the kid is actually going to die from this. This noble's wife just loses it, screaming Dalf's name in absolute terror. Outside the mansion, the parents are begging them to do something as Martina promises there is still a way. She explains the spirit will try to repossess Dalf to drain what is left of his life force. Fiora, already on the case, is meditating to create a detection barrier around the entire estate. Daichai realizes this means they can track the spirit right back to its source and end this for good. A Chibai Fiora just shrugs off the praise, acting like being a magical super genius is no big deal. She then kicks everyone out, explaining the spell will take 4 hours and she needs to concentrate. Martina asks the noble if they can crash somewhere while they wait, and he is practically tripping over himself to agree. A butler is immediately summoned to prepare rooms for our heroes, but the butler gets a sudden, devious look in his eye. He then asks Daichai and Martina if they'd prefer 1 room or 2. This question immediately sends both of them into a stammering, blushing meltdown. Daichai frantically requests separate rooms while a stone lion statue silently judges their whole situation. A sudden close-up on the statue's eyes reveals they are glowing with an unnatural light. And yup, the stone is cracking as the lion begins to move, because this place is just full of surprises. Elsewhere, Martina is seething with jealousy, convinced Fiora is making a move on Daichi. Her inner monologue gets terrifyingly dark, vowing she will not let Fiora be happy alone. Cut to her private room, where she is tossing and turning in some very breathable sleepwear. She tries to relax, telling herself all they need to do is wait for Fiora to pinpoint the target. In a hazy dream, Martina passionately vows to cure her master's fear of women. She remembers thinking they have not had any alone time since Fiora showed up. A sudden knock at her door jolts her awake, looking completely disoriented. Her eyes snap wide open in a state of pure blushing shock. A voice is calling for her from just outside her bedroom, and it is Daichi of all people standing right at her door. Her mind immediately jumps to the least logical conclusion, heart pounding. In her wild fantasy, he is asking for her help with his treatment. His expression is deadly serious, at least inside her head. She proudly declares she is 18 and mentally prepared for this very moment. Her thoughts race as she wonders if he is finally seeing her. Not as a companion, but as a woman he might be interested in. But then she immediately scolds herself, thinking an old man like her should not be so hopeful. Just then, a hand takes hers. It is Daichi, making the first move in her daydream. He reassures her it is not wrong at all, while she is just a mess of flailing hands. This dream, Daichi explains he could not ask just anyone to help cure his phobia. And then reality crashes down as the real Daichi asks what treatment she means. He is actually asking how she planned to help him with his shoulder earlier. Without missing a beat, she says she will do anything he wants, just say the word. Our boy just smirks, looking like he is about to take her up on that very vague offer. Martina is practically vibrating with excitement, promising she will do absolutely anything for her master. And Daichi gets this wicked little grin, saying if she is that willing to help him out. He then reveals he has a secret affliction he cannot tell anyone about, leaving her totally confused. His first instruction is for her to lie down with her hands behind her head and her brain just short circuits. Our boy just mutters to himself that he had no idea she was into this kind of stuff. As his hand moves toward her chest, she is bracing for impact, thinking this is finally it. He just pokes her top right over her chest, not exactly the move she was expecting. She is baffled, wondering why he is not touching her skin directly, just her clothes. Then he just lifts her top, and suddenly the situation takes a very sharp turn. Even so, she is fully committed, thinking she will do anything for her master's sake. His hand hovers over her and the tension is, well, it is definitely something. And then he asks the question on nobody's asterisk mind, what on earth does she eat? She stammers out something about meat and vegetables, completely blindsided by the question. Daichi immediately calls her a liar, accusing her of sneaking sweets and bread at night. This is a diet intervention. While she is pinned down and half-dressed, he is just giving her a full-blown health lecture. He is seriously wondering if this is some other kind of illness he has to treat, the absolute genius. Meanwhile, her body is having a very different reaction, completely ignoring the nutritional advice. She is practically begging him to just touch her already, lecture be damned. Her thoughts are screaming for him to please just do something to her. And Daichi just smiles, thinking today is going to go really well because he is on a completely different planet. Martina's mind is racing, thinking this play might actually lead to a real contract with him. Utterly committed, she whispers yes, ready to make a genuine pact right here and now. And Daichi just flashes this absolutely diabolical grin because he has got a plan. He traces a line on her stomach, announcing he is about to begin the procedure. Our boy tells her to imagine a subservience crest being carved right onto her, which is not at all creepy. Then he drops some seriously wild lines for her to repeat, and her brain just completely short-circuits. She is horrified he'd ask her to say that, but hey, anything for the master, right? Daichi, fully in character, just doubles down on the demeaning script he has cooked up. He is commanding her to obey the words, to submit to him completely as he holds her down. This is a marionette subservience contract, and if she refuses, she has to admit she cannot live without him. With a smirk, he delivers the final command for her to just admit it. A massive, triumphant grin spreads across his face, thinking he has totally got her trapped now. His inner monologue is just screaming, "With this, Martina is my slave," a totally normal thought. And then the door flies open and it is Fiora, announcing the barrier is done with the worst timing in history. Fiora is super confused, wondering why they are freaking out when it has only been 30 minutes, not 4 hours. She then tries to explain how a clock works because apparently she can cast world-class barriers but cannot tell time. Martina just loses it, screaming that it was 20 minutes, not 4 hours, you absolute moron. This whole vibe is shattered as Fiora looks on, and Daichi just awkwardly calls out Martina's name. Daichi is just completely zoned out, his master plan in absolute ruins. Meanwhile, Martina is just screaming for him not to look, trying desperately to cover herself up. Fiora's eyes are wide with total confusion, trying to process what in the world she just walked into. Martina is still half-dressed and absolutely mortified, while Daichi just stares blankly at the door. Our boy is frozen solid, his brain completely fried from being caught in this incredibly compromising position. Martina absolutely loses it, screaming at Fiora that this is all her fault for being a complete idiot. Outside, the spirit's main body, looking suspiciously like Daichi, is furious it was interrupted just before succeeding. Still fuming, Martina calls Fiora a moron who cannot even read a clock, saying she was saved by sheer dumb luck. Suddenly, Fiora shouts that the spirit is on the move and trying to escape the mansion grounds. Martina's panic returns as she realizes the spirit's caster is getting away while they were distracted, But Fiora just smirks, telling them not to worry because she has already found its source. She then rattles off a bunch of complex coordinates, having already marked the target for pursuit, much to Martina's confusion. Her expression is just pure smug satisfaction, totally confident she has got this whole situation handled. Then she gets confused, wondering why Martina is not praising her for her brilliant, time-saving work. A light bulb goes off as she realizes she needs to put it in simpler terms for her less brilliant companion. With the target locked, the whole party snaps into action, bursting out the door to chase down the real enemy. Martina's eyes are blazing with determination, the previous embarrassment now fueling her righteous fury. Outside, a mysterious robed person is making a run for it, clearly marked by Fiora's tracking light. As they give chase, Martina is still crying tears of pure humiliation over the things Daichai made her say. She leaps off a balcony, screaming that there is no way she is letting them escape after that mortifying display. With a ground-shattering impact, she lands right in the path of the fleeing caster. This force of her landing sends the robed person flying, completely cutting off their escape route. This robed caster hits the dirt, grumbling about being injured despite all their brute strength. From above, Martina yells that trying to escape into the air was a huge mistake, leaving them wide open. A special technique activates, letting her basically walk on air to close the distance fast. Turns out it is not one caster but two, and they are both floating away to make their escape. Her jaw just drops, completely stunned that she has been chasing a duo this whole time. As they ascend into the night sky, she realizes they are using the same airwalking technique she just did. One of them flashes this super creepy, smug grin, clearly enjoying the chase a little too much. Martina's face is pure, unfiltered rage. She is absolutely not having any of this. Just then, Daicha and Fiora catch up, with our boy shouting her name in warning. She immediately activates an overskill, pouring power into a massive acceleration boost. With a furious scream, she orders the evil spirit woman to stop right there. This acceleration skill kicks in and she blurs across the courtyard in a flash. That smug look is gone, replaced by pure terror as Martina closes in for the kill. She's about to unleash a move from the Valentine style, which sounds incredibly intimidating. Leaping into the air, she brings her massive sword down for a devastating overhead strike. Below, Daicha and Fiora can only watch, completely stunned by her sudden ferocity, and she delivers a brutal kick right to the face, a move fueled by pure, unadulterated humiliation. This impact sends the robed caster flying backward through the air, completely overpowered. But as she lands, her expression shifts to confusion. Something's not right here. This caster she just kicked dissolves into smoke. It was just an illusion the whole time. Martina is left hanging midair, completely dumbfounded that she just kicked a total fake-out. Down below, Daicha and Fiora are shouting her name, looking absolutely panicked by the sudden turn of events. This real caster, meanwhile, is booking it through the woods, thinking they are home free. But Martina is already back on the ground and in hot pursuit, yelling that they cannot escape Fiora's mark. Watching her go, Daicha notes to Fiora that Martina must be beyond humiliated to be this enraged. He then asks Fiora if the two of them were once companions, like a dog and monkey who could not get along. Fiora casually confirms that yup, they were former comrades, and Daicha is just floored. This guy's mind is just blown. The person Fiora marked was one of their own former party members. Finally cornering the caster, Martina smugly informs them that Fiora can see everything they are doing. Her expression darkens as she demands to know why they ignored her warning and went after someone named Rex. With a creepy smile, the caster just asks why Martina is getting in their way. Then the hood comes down, revealing the caster as Anastasia Pollen, a necromancer from their old hero party. Anastasia covers her mouth, admitting she always knew her old friend Martina Valentine would eventually find her out. Martina is completely stunned, thinking she could end this right now, but their past friendship is making her hesitate. Seeing her hesitation, Anastasia smirks and says she has a tasty proposal to make. She explains that after her weapon was destroyed fighting a demon dragon, her power plummeted, leaving her to a miserable life of poverty. And Martina just bursts out laughing, absolutely roasting her for being a lowly person who cannot even handle mansion work. Anastasia absolutely loses it, screaming that Martina is the pitiful one, which is why she will be spared this time. This comeback completely short-circuits Martina's brain, leaving her a blushing, stammering mess. Just then, Daichai catches up, absolutely furious, and accuses Anastasia of poisoning the son of the Hakurei family. Martina is absolutely laying into Anastasia, demanding she apologize and fix what she did to Rex right now. But Anastasia just hangs her head, looking completely unbothered by the accusation. This accusation leaves Martina completely stunned. Apparently, she is always just getting in the way. Behind them, Daicha and Fiora listen as Anastasia goes on a rant about Martina's self-righteous attitude. And then she has a full-blown meltdown, screaming that all she wants is to win love, a totally stable motivation. This whole villain monologue is apparently about some guy named Dolph who she claims was her one true love. She claims that after Rex beat her down, this Dolph guy was her only light. So her grand plan is to make Dolph desire her and realize how important she is, which is definitely how healthy relationships start. This penny drops for Martina, who realizes in horror that Anastasia used a dead spirit to accomplish this. With a clenched fist, Anastasia declares that she must be the one to defeat the spirit plaguing Dolph. Powering up with some seriously dark energy, she floats into the air, screaming that she is the only one who can do this. A massive amount of spiritual energy begins to gather right in her hand. Deicha and Fiora can only watch in shock, blown away by the sheer amount of power she is unleashing. And that is when Martina finally clocks their location. They are in a freaking graveyard. Of course, for a necromancer, a graveyard is an all-you-can-eat buffet of spiritual energy. Completely unhinged now, she screams that she's going to make them regret this for the rest of their lives. In an instant, spectral chains erupt and bind Martina completely, leaving her totally helpless.